gonna
Got
be,
Duke here repping his product.
you know what it is? It's that Valley mentality coming at you.
When's the drop?
It's to be determined, but we're planning on doing a party pop-up at Erewhon at the old Sportsman's Lodge. And
Why that location?
it's an iconic Valley location that's been refurbished and turned into a like posh outdoor mall where there's an Erewhon and a Van Leeuwen's ice cream, a Sugarfish, Takaya, et cetera, et
Tell me
cetera.
what the Valley represents to you. What is the spirit of Valley mentality? Why did you pick that name?
The Valley is like always been made fun of as kind of like a corny vanilla suburb outside of this like hip flashy place, Hollywood. And so we're with this kind of saying like, no, there is actually some fun quirky things to the Valley and we want to celebrate them. Not only that, it's not even saying that the Valley is so exceptional, it's we're saying there's been some cool things to come out of it. It's this mentality of like celebrating life, you know, the kind of drifters that end up there, the young upstarts. This is our main thing. The young upstarts that move to LA that can't quite afford Hollywood yet, but they're kind of living their fairy tale anyway in the bland Valley. We want to like be like the first thing to like celebrate that.
So we don't only talk about film here, we also talk about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting this drop is happening now. We got an outreach from this dad who saw The Fisherman, which is our most popular horror short. And he said, hey, like my like 7-year-old son loves The Fisherman. Like, do you have a costume that we can have like for this coming Halloween? And we didn't. And we realized, yeah, bro. So we realized like right now, like we're starting to get to the point, I feel, where we're big enough to even like start with hats or like jackets or whatever, sweatshirts. So you're going to be the first person I ask once we're ready to go down that road.
The podcast?
No, for I mean the podcast too. We probably need more than, I mean, I'm not going to say how many subscribers we have, but it's the few, the proud. But we will get to a point where we're going to use it for the pod. But yeah, I'm talking about Burnt Mill Road.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like even beyond like I think masks would be a really cool opportunity, but beyond that, it's like even thinking about just branding Burnt Mill Road over stuff. Like Blumhouse does that. There are lots of production companies that do it.
I know A24 is getting big with it, but
yeah, dude.
I almost personally, I don't know what I think of the A24 stuff, but whatever.
You mean their actual like line or the films?
Their clothing line stuff.
Oh, I haven't checked it out.
Yeah. I think it's a little off-brand for them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They do have a very specific brand. They had a film that came out called Lamb. Did you see that?
I did not.
It was like the epitome of what A24 is. It's like you take all of A24's films, put them in a blender, and then you've got like Lamb. Like this is the most A24 thing ever.
Is that the one with Alex Wolff or something?
I don't know if he's in that one.
What was the plot in a log line again?
It's basically this couple who live on this like kind of rural area, and they start taking care of this lamb like as their own. And just shit hits the fan and it gets crazy.
I just saw a trailer, speaking of that, of a new A24 movie Pete Davidson's in. And it's about like a girl's slumber party that like gets taken crazy and someone dies, and like it's supposed to expose like kind of like Mean Girls, but updated. And it's kind of sci-fi as well, it looked like, as all A24 movies are. And like, it looks like Euphoria. And I see it, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I'm down for these movies that are like, there's no, I don't, I guess they always have to tap into something that's heartfelt and stuff, but there's just a little, they don't feel that interesting to me.
Let's talk about interesting films. I watched one this week, 7 Days to Vegas.
Yes.
Brilliant piece of art.
I've been waiting for. That's the only way it's described.
Bro, it's crazy. That film came out, what, like 2019?
Yeah. Something like that.
It's one of those things that I feel, I mean, I don't know what happened on the distribution end of things, but I feel like it kind of like mangled the hit, because this film is really solid, dude. And I see how it can become a cult classic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me more. First of all, I'm so honored that you watched it so
Oh,
quick,
come on.
right?
This film stars Duke's father, Vince Van Patten,
Indeed.
and he's got that unspoken quality that all great movie stars have, where it's like you can just watch him, you trust him, everything that he
Dude,
says,
brilliant.
everything he's about is
Got a
like,
bit of that George Clooney quality of just
yeah, I
being
see
like
that.
just like an interesting unspoken guy. Yeah.
Character's name was Duke too, which I thought was funny.
That was he
Talk about an
difficult
honor,
to
bro.
difficult to find where he would have gotten that one from. No, yeah, he said that was like a shout out to me. It was nice.
Wow.
Yeah, why not?
Very cool. And this was based on a true story. Was this his life?
Yeah, inspired by a true event. The poker game was real. All that stuff is true. The lore around the bet that was made, that first of all, the movie in a brief, do you want to try to describe it real quick?
Sure.
Logline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's essentially about some gamblers. They play poker. They're buddies. They have a good
Hollywood.
time. Yeah, it's this group of really interesting characters. Got the guy with the puppet, like
Yeah.
the most eclectic handful. And I found a lot of parallels with your pilot
Totally.
in terms of like bro, it's the same exact vibe and feel, and it
It
works.
is. It
Really
does. I think
yeah.
it works. We're gonna run into the ground
Yeah.
until one of it pops.
Right. That Van Patten signature, so you've got all these characters that are really interesting and engaging. Essentially, to win all his money back, there's this bet that his father, Vince Van Patten, has to walk to Vegas from LA in 7 days, which I think just even as a concept, like in a suit also, I think just the concept of that is really fucking interesting. And it's one of those things that like you hear the title and then once you know what it is, it makes perfect sense. It's one of those really like pitchy movies that I thought were really well.
That's really interesting, because I was also thinking that like all of my ideas lately, and I write a lot of stuff with my dad, like they tend to not sound like the best pitches on paper, but it's more once you get into like the details of it and stuff and like the truisms, then it becomes interesting to me. And so that's cool to hear that you point that out, that like on just the idea of it sounds interesting, lures you in. Yeah, I find it funny that it's true story about the poker game in Hollywood that Molly's Game ended up making the movie out of.
Got you.
That poker game, and it started in the Valley, small. It was true. My dad was like a washed up actor, tennis player, gambler, etc. And he just always played poker. This was before the poker boom, where everyone got good and saw it on TV and studied it. And so he would play in this game that he started with my mom at the time, and then my parents got divorced, and my stepmom became that same role too, of someone that like helped my dad run the game. And he would have all these characters, everyone from giant producers and actors in Hollywood and to big finance people, like that would back him in the game, this like Russian guy, like, oligarch. And then there'd be jockeys from the Santa Anita racetrack, like Midge, which is not politically correct, but and then Danny the magician is like a real guy, a magician from the Magic Castle. And these people, they all think they're the funniest people in the world.
It's kind of a smart angle. I don't even know if he was trying to run with this, but like having that kind of networking surrounding like a poker game within players in Hollywood is a really smart thing.
In real life, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Poker is definitely a big culture of Hollywood people to like come together for sure. And that was at the time where it wasn't that hip yet, really. And then World Poker Tour, which my dad was fortunate to become the host of, made it so that everyone can study the game and see each other's cards. So everyone got good. And as my dad puts it, that kind of lowered his exceptionalism at it, because then everyone became good. Whereas one of the reasons why he kind of got faded out of the game was because he was considered really the only pro in it, and he would handicap everyone. He would, as is in the movie, he would write down the tells of these people. He would know every little thing about everyone so that he can bluff perfectly and stuff. And it worked. He, for the majority of the time, turned it into a game that wasn't just luck, but it was genuine skill. He was called the king of the home games for a long time. And by the way, I love how in the movie they show that he's washed up by showing that, and he didn't do this in real life, but the infomercials,
I love that.
the mop thing, and he goes
Yeah.
to the cameraman.
Right.
Just like, it was such a good, I was trying to describe this to you before you even saw it, juxtaposition between the opening when you see the teaser of like what it becomes and he's on this bet kind of like down and out in the desert, to flashback a couple years before he was doing these infomercials, and it's so spunky and brightly lit and just ridiculous in your face. And he's like, I just thought
There wasn't one moment where I checked out.
it's a good way to put it.
It kept me engaged the entire time. And a lot of that did also have to do with the edit. And you talked about how like the first cut was nothing like the final.
No, the director's cut was not what the original vision was at all.
Right.
The director clearly,
How was it different?
he changed the story so that there was no twists, so that there was like so much of the humor was cut out of the poker games. He completely changed the storyline around. It's hard to even describe, but at the end of the day, it made the characters seem dumber, not as poignant, and it ended up just falling flat.
Yeah.
By the way, after that, they did end up seeing that cut, and then they went back and shot some extra little things to even compensate.
That twist that I think you're talking about, like at the very end.
It's not even that one. It was like the twist before too. A few of them.
I'm not going to spoil it, but the twist at the end, like, I don't think I've ever rooted for a character more. I've been like so stoked about it when that happened. I was like,
true. I didn't see it coming. Personally, a lot of people say they saw it coming. I didn't see it coming.
I saw it coming. Like I don't want to say too much about the movie. Do you care?
No, we can say whatever. But
essentially, his dad trades places with this other. I think it's his brother,
publicist brother, who subs in.
Right. And we think he's handicapped, but he's kind of been playing everyone. And I started to get it when he's like hobbling along the road and he's doing it for a while. I kind of got it like
then you kind of get it.
Yeah. But up until that point, I had no idea. But it all lined up perfectly. It was like the perfect moment for that switch to happen.
Which, by the way, wasn't it pretty believable too that these hustlers?
Totally.
This movie, I thought, my pitch for it always was that every other gambling movie makes gamblers seem like the black sheep of the family. Rounders with Matt Damon. I mean, he had a degree to Harvard. He was going to Harvard, yet he couldn't keep his life together because he kept having this gambling problem. This is the first movie that makes gamblers smart, witty, fun, and then also you see, this is what my dad always said, my grandfather and stuff too, that the actual good gamblers and the smart ones, they're not the ones that are telling you about how smart they are all the time. They act dumb so that you might try to take advantage of them. And that's what the Jimmy character was, really. And it was brilliant.
I think when it comes to indie filmmaking, it was just such a win for like this film, for indie filmmaking. I think
it looked insane, the production value for one, didn't it? Didn't it look like a huge box office film? It
absolutely did. But it still felt like an indie in like all the best ways.
Totally. I'm trying to put my finger on that, what that really entails too. I love what you say about that. Yeah.
There's a certain closeness with film.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like studio pictures, the image. Like, I'm not saying that.
They like to go off of like Little Miss Sunshine. A lot of times, a movie like Little Miss Sunshine, like which is a quintessential indie film,
Yeah.
you feel like you're coming right into a storyline that's
Right.
so chock full. It's so like this person might not have ordinarily been able to make a movie unless it was about their
Yeah.
interesting life.
Dude, yeah, I
they're
think
not churning out studio films all the
totally,
time.
totally.
This is like a very intimate.
Totally. I also feel like just the feel of a film, if you have 150 plus crew on a set, like a studio set, the feel of it for an audience, you feel more removed. If it's just like I don't know how many people crewed that set, but
Right now,
yeah, probably a few, right? And
Yeah.
so like that, just that alone, you just felt like a lot more connected with the characters. You felt like you were really along for the ride. It was
Yeah.
fun. I liked it.
Oh no, that's great to hear. They kind of lucked into a few cameos from these actors that were not big gets necessarily. It was like, you know, even getting the guy John O'Hurley, who's Jay Peterman from Seinfeld, the older dude who ends up being like the Wall Street guy that you think is helping them out and turns out to go bankrupt. Like that actor, he's like, you know, he's an icon to me in comedy and stuff. And they just, it wasn't a big deal to get him, but it was just like funny that they had Willie Garson, you know, who's since passed away, but was my dad's friend and was in Sex and the City, all these things. He went to Yale, trained actor, and real like New York theater actor and stuff. But he played Danny the Magician at the beginning, who's the magician that holds them up, I think, right? Or something. He does something. So kooky. All these actors, Don Stark from That 70s Show, who's in Duke of the Valley as well, who played Angry Jim. I'll throw you down a flight of stairs. Like, you know, it was very good. It was very good.
Dude, I'd be stoked if I were you, because it's like on my end, I'm like, I'm just like barreling forward in terms of, and I love it, bro. I love it. It's just, it's more like I've got my head down and I'm paving my way as I can through this industry, making indie films and finding out like what works, what doesn't, whatever. But you've got this unique opportunity where it's like your dad has made this thing that is so epic. That's such an epic indie. And it's like, now, aren't you collabing with him to like make something kind of similar in style? Like another one. It's amazing. Cause dude, indie filmmaking is like hard as shit, as obviously you've seen behind the scenes of like what it was like to make this film. But it's like when you have that finished product that's so dope, you know, you're like, okay, this is my target.
Miracle.
Now I can even make
it's
something
kind of a miracle. Yeah. So you're saying the fact that I have the connection to a success, a sick success.
Yeah.
Now
I think the fact that you were along for the whole journey of it, you saw secondhand, you know, what he went through to make that movie, all like the pitfalls, all the shit that no one sees. And then to see that final thing of it being like such a triumph, I think is really a good thing.
No, that's a really cool observation that you're pointing out. I think I'm so fortunate in so many senses to have that experience, but also I know for a fact, my belief that like my dad is incapable of making a bad movie or anything bad at this point. It's not worth it to him to make something that compromises all over the place. It's not worth it to him to make something that's like not, that isn't gonna.
Dude, when you make something that's dope, you are way less willing to compromise for shit like that. Like it's even like when I've gone through my first couple films, when I did my first film, dude, I was like, whatever, like I don't even care. It can be like, you know, all these different conditions, whatever. But yeah, you start to learn as you do more of these and you get more experience, like what you are willing and what you aren't willing.
But it needs to be.
Yeah.
But it needs to be. And no, I think what you're getting at too in that sense, like my dad's got the formula down. He's got his finance.
Yeah, it's about a formula. It is.
He knows kind of the essence of what we're going for. Like you pointed out, you know, all the stuff my dad's made lately with me and everything has been like kind of funny, colorful. We like this con stuff. We love twists. We love stuff that's like true, you know, things that like actually happen. Because a lot of times, especially with con stuff, like if it didn't actually happen, then it just innately feels unbelievable. Whereas you want something that like is unbelievable, but the mechanics are all there so that the audience feels like they're a part of something really.
And that based on the true story is great. When you have that, it's amazing.
It is nice to put that. Yeah, I would.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knows at this point for his type of film, making that, getting through that experience, I'm sure he knows innately how much things cost, how much money he needs to raise, the right people to collab with, the kinds of actors he wants to bring on, how, like, if he's willing to deal with certain personalities on set or not.
By a lot of error, yes. By a lot of error, more than he would like to have had. Blood, sweat, tears.
But that's always the take, right? Like that's always
you have Trial by Fire.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Duke of the Valley is the most fun we've had making anything.
Right. And like I said, it's a very similar style in terms of tone and everything. I'm not saying it's like the exact same thing,
I know
exactly. It's a specific flavor.
It is the tone. I mean, hey, it's our favorite. We love. My dad taught me. My uncle, my grandfather, they taught us to like appreciate movies that were, even when they're dark in subject matter, it's humans trying to make the most out of them. And stories of people that need to be told in a way, even if it's seemingly mundane. So it's like, you know, always try to find an angle on a story or something, you know?
You know what's interesting, bro? All of my shorts and like films, whatever, have such like a dark flavor. I like that. That's like me. That's what I bring to it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when I put you in the mix, like as an ingredient in this like pot, whatever. Yeah. It's like it turns into this thing that then you get this like element of comedy there, which like it's really interesting. All the players, and I'm even talking about crew, like there are certain attitudes that like when mixed together on set, it creates a certain vibe and a certain flavor and a certain thing. The stuff that we've collabed on feels very different from like a lot of the stuff that I've just made on my own.
Totally. And I think it calls for that, but also obviously like if I get called up to do an M. Night Shyamalan movie or something, I really need to make sure that I can like,
well, true. Yeah.
Tone and stuff. That being said, I was at dinner with my grandmother and my mother. And we were talking about an episode. I think this is relevant. You'll like this. I love this, but we were talking about an episode of Murder, She Wrote in the 80s that my mom did. She's on one episode, and it was kind of a big deal because Murder, She Wrote was like a bevy of iconic actors at the time. You only got invited. I don't think you can audition for it. It was like we don't really have that now. I mean, the closest thing is like Saturday Night Live or something. And every episode was a new detective story where something would happen. But it was all these it was fun for the actors. You know, people loved seeing these guys. Like Van Johnson was this like big actor that played my mom's dad in it and stuff. And it was all these the golden age of like the 70s and 80s, you know, just silly.
Dude, imagine having a machine like that that's so strong, where so many people watch it for so many years that you can invite people on, and it's this big honor. That's like a huge deal.
It's like a different. So here's the thing on the episode. Why I bring it up is because my mom did it. The actor that played the boyfriend of one of the girls was Bryan Cranston, and a young Bryan Cranston, and I observed him, and you know, this thing is a murder mystery show, kind of slightly campy, and but everyone's good.
The show,
it's on like Amazon now, and probably YouTube too. It's definitely on YouTube. Bryan Cranston, everything he does, and this is sort of murder mystery, but he still has that essence of suave. He's always too smooth for school and having a little bit of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, he plays like the suave boyfriend in this, but like I give him credit that no matter what he does, I think even if he was in a horror film, it would be tough for him to not play the kind of like douchey young guy. And I think in order, because I think I told you this, right? I'm shooting a Lifetime movie this next week. I think it's a good thing for me to remember that always get so underneath the lines and like the point of each scene, the point of like what your character's doing, so that you know, you're really having fun with it. You're really at ease. You're leaning into what's there, so you don't have to think for a second. Because Bryan Cranston always seemed like he was just ahead of what was going on, and I think that
Right.
sustains.
It's
But
interesting, dude. Even Breaking Bad, when he was playing Walter White, he's still even playing like a loser teacher who like is spineless. He still had that kind of
so
thing
smooth,
going. Yeah,
silky. Yeah, he always. And actually, the one thing I
that's
don't
him.
recall him in is Malcolm in the Middle or whatever. Yeah, and I bet he had it in that too, though.
And dude, I'll tell you, like you talking about being in an M Night movie. M Night, I'm sure I don't want to speak for him, but at least in
Sure.
my perspective, like I might write a character, but like I also don't even really know exactly what that character is supposed to be. I want the actor to fill it out with themselves.
Totally. Unless you're visualizing. So I guess you haven't done this yet, have you? Where you like visualize a star in your
I
role.
haven't done that. That is interesting though, because I've heard stories where people, like writers, directors, they will have someone specific in mind.
Oh
And
yeah.
because it is so intentional and it's so right for that person, they end up doing the script.
Yeah.
It's like, and actors are flattered by that too. I mean, obviously, right?
Yep.
Like if a writer has worked on something for several years and they're like, this is the only person who can play.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be a big potential to get someone to do it. I also think that could just inform such clarity to like
It would, dude. And I should be doing that, honestly. And I also think it would be like a fun exercise. Like, who's my dream actor that I want to work with?
yeah. That being said, like if I'm sure you already have clarity to your character's voice, that's why you don't do it. Anyway,
Yeah, it usually comes through. I think I'm definitely mostly plot driven. And then like the character kind of comes through later.
serve that. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. Um,
I'm working on a script now.
are you now?
I am.
A short
It's
or a feature?
a feature version of The Fisherman.
Of course you are. Enough compliments like that. Enough
Yeah,
views.
dude. Yeah, because I feel like when it comes to financing movies and stuff, they're gonna want to look at, like, if you have a short that is blowing up, like that's the one that people, because then they're like, okay, there's an audience for this. People dig this concept.
Totally. What's the latest on our short?
Our short, what
Any-
about it?
Any views?
We got like 7K. It's doing all right. Yeah.
Dude, 7,000 people seeing this mean mugging,
Yes, sir.
doing stuff. All right, all right. I'm
Yeah.
7,000 famous.
Not bad.
Not
Pretty solid. Yeah.
quite. Wait, and sorry to get off that too. So, at what stage are you at with writing the feature of the fisherman, and how is that?
I'm giving myself a month, and the first 10 days, each day I write 10 scenes out of the outline, which is the heaviest lifting part of it, because the actual writing of it, it's like, it's time consuming because you have to sit down and just do it. But if you have all the ideas like fleshed out and it's a really comprehensive outline, then you're pretty much off to the races. So yeah, I'm on day, I think 5 out of 10 of just outlining this thing.
Can you give us a log line of like what the general feature would be about, without like any of the twists or turns?
Yeah. General feature is this young girl. Both of her parents committed suicide after her mom warned her of this entity known as the fisherman who was going to do that to them. And she told her daughter basically that she was going to be next and she was going to join them. And then it cuts to her being like an adult, basically trying to like not be caught by the fisherman to join her parents.
It's dark.
It's very dark. It's really fucking dark. But yeah, that's what the short was about. So.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
I want to see why the fisherman is what he is.
Yes.
With it reminds me of it, mainly just because the white face. Bleached white face.
Dude, I love it.
We never really got to know much about the it guy in the movie, at least.
Yeah, you're right. And I kind of prefer it that way too. I think for horror, you shouldn't know. And I think that's how The Fisherman's going to turn out too. It's like if you know everything, the backstory, like all this shit, it's just less scary because then you understand it. You know what I mean? If it's lingering in the shadows and you can't put your finger on it, it's scarier.
Yeah, I concur. Part of me with it though, like we talked about before, like I wondered if it would have hooked me in more if I knew a little bit more about it, you know?
Interesting.
Like, oh, I wonder if this is gonna happen again.
What I like about it, like the novel goes pretty deep into it, and I haven't read the novel. It's like 900 pages or some shit, but like
Obnoxiously long.
yeah, but they go into detail. So like what I like about that is if you're interested in it, you can kind of like look it up and stuff. Like I kind of want to touch on it and then maybe have some kind of backstory thing that people can dig into later. But
The book after the movie, like Tarantino.
Where are you at with the screenplay with your dad?
No updates. We're trying to find a true story of like
Got you.
Italian con men in LA, which we have a few people we're going to talk to.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're just
Scorsese action.
Totally. Whereas like I'm the Ed Norton in Fight Club character.
Right.
It's like, why did I get hooked into this? I thought you were just like a tennis player down at Venice Beach. Yeah, there's that. I have my Lifetime movie coming up. Starts Saturday. Learned all the lines for that. I thought I was supposed to be shooting today, but I'm not.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, Valley Mentality. We are we're at a crossroads. It's trying to figure out whether we should put a ton of money into it right now and just start gifting stuff to people. Because did I tell you my buddy Tanner put out a little teaser on Instagram about it, and the response was unbelievable.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, models, fashion people, influencers begging for the stuff.
Perfect. Bro, and I mean, dude, if you're gonna gift it to anyone, like influencers with the following, and then they put that shit out there, that's way worth it, bro.
100%. It's just a question of for us of, hey, do we do this pop-up first where we sell it, get it to the people that might not see it on Instagram first? Or do we get this inventory order out to people, get it on people's heads and stuff, start promoting it, and then put in another order and do the pop-up? So it's probably a simple answer, but we just got to figure that one out because we just don't have money. And then I have another buddy that just offered to invest in it. He's got a ton of money, and we could use a ton of money right now just to do whatever we want with it. But I don't know if it's smart to give away any percentage more of the company now that we like people are excited about it.
That's a good point.
Stuff. These are good problems to have, but they're
yeah. Good stuff.
Show me the money.
Well, dude, we got 4 minutes before we're going to be kicked off.
Yeah, I've never seen a time limit before. Look at that.
Oh, is it on your side too?
Big time. Yeah.
Man, what you doing, Zoom? Bro, the thing about Show Me the Money, I don't know if you know this story, but like Jerry Maguire,
of course,
when Cuba came in and did his audition, he like jumped on the table and was like, "Show me the money." And he was just in Tom Cruise's face. It's like sometimes, man, it takes that shit to get the part.
Know that. So did he come up with that line?
No, it was in the script, but Tom just expected him to like fucking, flat deliver it. And he jumped on the table, grabbed him.
Apparently, Boys in the Hood as well. Cuba Gooding, Forrest Whitaker, or Lawrence Fishburne, I think is his name, right? The older guy. He said Cuba was like a young actor, was just like so much rage, which, as we've talked about, like is easy for some people to have a lot of rage when they're acting. But yeah, I was just thinking, and speaking of like older movies, like Jerry Maguire, which is one of my favorites, as is Boys in the Hood. I was thinking about my dad, and because we were just talking about, we had this moment to show even more like what our appreciation in movies is. There's a movie called Breaking Away. You haven't seen it?
No.
late 70s about a kid in Indiana, inspired by a true story, who when they all graduated high school, him and his friends, one of them being Dennis Quaid, who it made him a star, they were local small town guys called Cutters, right next to the University of Indiana Bloomington School. It's a beautiful, amazing school. And it was kind of a story about them growing up next to the college. And the one main character becomes obsessed with becoming a cycler because he wants to be something other than what he is, which in this movie is Italians. He wants to be an Italian cyclist. And then it's him growing up seeing that maybe, oh, the Italian cyclists aren't as cool when he gets to meet them as he once thought they were. The college kids are in school. It's just a little slice of life movie, and they all became stars after it. Dennis Christopher is the main guy. And I remember seeing it in school, and it was like one of the only movies I saw in film class that I was like, everyone would fall asleep during all the movies. Like no one cared in high school. And this movie, I saw it and I was like, it was pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. And I went home and I told my dad, and he's like, Breaking Away is one of my favorite movies. And I'm like, what? That all right? We got a taste. We got a similar taste.
Crazy, dude. I'm gonna have to check it out.
100%. Please. It's
We're
so
about to kick
charming.
off. But dude, good luck in the film
Thank you.
on Saturday. That's huge. Keep me posted.
I will. I shall. What are we gonna do about uploading these other videos?
What do you mean?
I
I posted one today. I also sent you one for next Tuesday too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is that the USC one?
Gone. Not yet, only because my other hard drive is with my my DP, but we'll put that out in a couple weeks.
Sounds like a plan. Does it matter that we're mixing and matching?
Bro, it's all good, man.
It's
Our
all-
audience is just along for the ride.
As you have to be.
Yes.
All right,
brother.
Great
Have a good
stuff.
night.
You too. Peace.
Talk soon. Bye.